Hello, guys. So, welcome to this amazing video. Is it amazing? Yes, really amazing. Yeah, I'm having with me my colleague, my not my colleague per se, my professor here.
I'm not a
You
professor.
you understand that? Yeah. So, just as the caption indicates, we are going to talk about how she was able to ace her PhD interviews and was able to land 5 out of 6 offers, fully funded with zero deficit. And we are already in the PhD, interview and master's interview season. Right now, you've been receiving offers to kind of reach out to faculty and schedule an interview date and see how it goes, or in general any interview in regards to your application process, how to navigate your way through. That is why we're going to do this. We are doing this video for you guys, so I believe it will bless you and it's also add up to your knowledge bank in the application process. So let's just get kick start. So if you're ready, let's go. Energy. So prof, the floor is yours.
Okay, first of all, I'm not a professor. I'm a PhD student, nowhere near being a professor. Anyway, yeah, so my name is Barikisu Isaka, and I'm a second year PhD student at Michigan State University, studying information and media. And I'm originally from Ghana, so yeah, I'm an international student as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Prof has hidden a lot. She has really hidden a lot, but I think you would appreciate it. She's in MSU, Michigan State University. That is a very good school as well. So, Prof, let's get right into it. We want to just know, how your application went, how many applications submitted, and how many invites you got, and when you got the invite. A fair idea, just a rundown.
Yeah, so I applied to 6 schools, either 6 or 7 actually. I'm not too sure, but I just know I got like 5 with full
Mm-hmm.
funding. So yeah, most of the schools had their deadlines in
Mm-hmm.
December. Most of the schools, I think the latest deadline for all the schools I applied for was like January.
Mm-hmm.
So by January, I was already like receiving the request for the interviews, which was really good because I had like some few months to finish my master's. So getting those interviews and like getting the decisions early was good for me because I knew that okay, after my masters I have something to do. So yeah, basically that's the period like between December to January.
That is beautiful. So we would want to start from so when they reach out to you, what is the theme of their email? Is it just to interview you to kind of like know who you are? What is the whole interview about? As a prospective, PhD student, or PhD,
Yeah.
student. What should they look out for in these interviews?
Yeah, so basically when they send you an email for interview, they'll tell you you've been shortlisted and that's it. Sometimes people feel like okay, once you are called for the interview, then that's it. You are going to get like the admission and the funding, and that's not the case. For instance, with my program in Michigan State, they would even interview you, would come for a welcome event before they even give out the funding. So like
Mm,
yeah, so
mm,
you have to really make an impact or like make sure your interview goes like very well because that determines whether you would get a funding or not. So yeah, when they interview you, they basically want to know more about you. And for me, I think mostly they just want to know if you actually wrote your SOP or
mhm.
if yeah, if you actually wrote your SOP or if you really know like everything that's in your SOP because most of the questions that they ask usually are questions that come from your SOP. So if someone wrote your SOP for you, then you are going to fail during the interview, right? But if you know your SOP in and out, if you did not lie in your SOP, then that's something that will be easy for you to answer. So they have like different and several questions that they ask during the interview and how to prepare for it. And I
Yeah,
think as we are moving on,
yeah.
I'll share some of those stuff.
All right. So let's just move to that angle. So what were your preparation strategy? What would be the key highlights you would advise those who have been extended an interview and those who are waiting for their offers, masters, PhD, when it comes to this niche,
Yeah.
what should they look out for?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that question. So it's a long
Hmm.
list, but I'm gonna try and make it short. But again, as I mentioned, the interview process is really important. Like that can make or make your funding decision. So you have to take it serious. One, thing I did was to like search on Google for sample interview questions, right? Google has all the answer, as I always say. So when you search on Google, you will see sample interview questions, and you can use that to prepare. The other thing was knowing my SOP in and out, like knowing my SOP very well. So for every school, you would have like a specific SOP that you tailor based on like what the school does and like to meet just their requirements. So I had to revisit my SOP for every school and look at it very well and remember some of like the things that I wrote in the SOP and stuff, because they asked me so many things in the SOP. You also have to know how like your current interest relates to your future goals or like your future achievements. And those are some things that again you write in your SOP, right? You tell them that you want to do so and so because that would help prepare you for like your future goals and stuff. So you have to like know that. You have to know how the program, like how the program you are going to do would help you achieve like your future goals. So I'm going to use myself as an example. My research interest was in health communication, and from my background I worked with an NGO, a cancer foundation that like used to go around to the community and talk to people about like cancer issues. So that's health communication, right? So I told them I still have that passion, and health communication really focuses on research. You need to do research to understand your audiences in order to tailor like the communication to meet their needs. So I'm like, okay, I need to get like more skills on how to conduct research in health communication, because at the end of the day I want to like go out there and work with nonprofits that focus on like educating people on health issues. So I knew how to connect my thing to like my future goals. So that's one of the things. The other is like to know why you apply to the school. So this is not why you apply to the program, right? Because why you apply to the program, usually you talk about the professors and stuff, but this is why you apply to the school. So for instance, Michigan State in general, is a very good school and stuff. So there are so many things in the school that could connect to you, right? Michigan State, I know, had a very good African studies center. In as much of my program was nothing connected to African studies, I still told them that, okay, like coming from Africa and the fact that I would do some studies related to Africa, I think collaboration with the African Studies Center would help me. They also have a very good Islamic studies program, and they have good professors. So I'm like, okay, as a Muslim woman, some of my research are also centered on like Muslim women health. So collaboration with those people. So they knew that I did my search. So doing a very good search about the school, not just the school is highly ranked, the school is beautiful, like those minor stuff. Look at, if you are interested in like gender studies, most schools have like gender studies departments. Look at what they are doing. How does that relate to yours? If your research intersects with other departments, for instance, you're a math student, but your research kind of intersects with maybe technology or AI stuff, look at the engineering department. Sometimes you find out that professors are even collaborating between those two departments. Talk about some of those collaborations and how that would help you. Then the other is why the program, right? So I talk about why the school. So why the program as well is something that they would ask you. So you have to do a thorough research about the program. This is where you would talk about faculty, because mostly the PhD programs, like they are more focused on schools that they are more focused on students that they would have professors that could work with the students. Yeah. I mean, the school that I did not get funding for that school, I knew very well that, because even when I spoke to a professor before applying, he told me honestly, he's the only one doing something closer. It's not even really related to mine, and he would advise me to apply to other schools. And he did suggest other schools, but I was still stubborn because I really wanted that school, and I still like went ahead and applied, and I didn't get. And I mean, I realized that yeah, they didn't have enough professors to work with me on my research project, so why should they like give me admission or not? So sometimes it's not about your SOP or not that you are not competent. It's just that they don't have professors.
There is
like
no alignment.
Exactly.
There's no alignment.
Yeah. So you want to really be able to talk about professors that are doing stuff connected to yours. And for most schools, when they send you the interview invite, they'll tell you, some schools will tell you the professors that are on the interview panel. Okay. And mostly some of these professors would be professors that are doing stuff related to your research that you probably already wrote in your SOP. So go and read more about the professors. Find some of like their publications that are very related to like your research interest. Though when they ask you why the school, you would say, okay, I'm interested in Michigan State University because I realized there are so many professors in the school doing research connected to mine. For instance, Professor so and so is doing this research that is really related to something that I'm interested in. And I actually realized this professor has done a research titled this, you know, so they know that like you've done your search. I remember when I was interviewed for MSU, there was so my department chair, my public relations department chair, she wasn't a professor I wrote in my SOP. She I didn't speak to her before applying, but then when I went to the website, I realized she's even done work in Kenya and Ghana and stuff, and I wanted to do stuff related to Africa as well. So I mentioned her name, that I even noticed that this professor is doing blah blah blah. Even though I didn't write her name in my SOP, I see a possible like future collaboration with that professor. So basically, yeah, do a very thorough.
Yeah, so not to cut you short. So I mean, first of all, you said you should Google to fill out the questions to familiarize yourself with that. Then also be able to know your SOP in and out, your own words, and also the professors. I mean, their research interests here and there. Now, you know, I mean, this is basically kind of like the tip of the iceberg. Now, Prof. You know, we have this STEM and non-STEM PhDs. You know, for the for the STEM people, they'll be going to labs. So we basically say they should look at the lab, what they
Yeah.
are doing, the current students, and also, I mean, currently in the program, reach out to them, ask them questions, and some of the schools will even, I mean, allow you to talk to some of the supervisors will allow you to talk to some of their students to know the environment, the kind of the culture they've built, so that you'll be able to work together as a team. So these are all. I mean, I would want you to kind of like touch on those that you've left out and um, give us tidbits. Okay. I said key highlights earlier, but like what one thing that you think applicants should really strengthen on or should be really well versed. I mean, overall, then I think we will just touch on one or two, then we call it. I mean, to an end. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, as you mentioned, like the lab and stuff is also something that you should be able to talk about, like how the lab kind of like would help you, or like the lab that really meets your needs. And yeah, talking to people, I had a friend reach out to me recently that she got MSU
Wow.
chemistry interview invite, and I connected her to like a current chemistry student. So you should also be able to talk to the people. Now, one important thing that you really should be able to know aside your research, so the research part is very important, so you should be able to know how to talk about it very well, because they'll ask you like what your research focus is, and you should be able to talk about it. The other thing is, if you're interested in teaching assistantship, and I think even for the science students, there are departments that they still need you to
Yeah.
teach some like undergrad lab work and stuff. So this applies to both like STEM and non-STEM
Then
fields.
that's true.
Yeah. So knowing the courses that you can teach or the courses that you can assist, that was one of the mistakes I did for one of the schools, for the school that I didn't get funding. So when I went for the interview, they asked me, what courses do you think you can teach? And I didn't know what to say because I hadn't gone through the website and look at the undergrad courses that they teach. And this is one of the things that would also help if you talk to other students. They'll tell you that, okay, these are some of the courses that we teach with the undergrad. Then you look at which one like really aligns with your strengths and the one that you can really teach. For most of the schools, I did my search. I realized that these are the programs I can teach, or these are the courses I can teach. But for the last school, as I mentioned, I just told them, okay, I could teach stuff related to public relations. That's not specific. So you have to have like specific courses, even if it's just 3 or 2 or 4. So I think that's just one of the very, very important points. Go to the website, find the undergrad courses that you can assist in, because your scholarship is in like assistantship anyway. So how can you assist? If it's lab, I know like mostly they have like different lab works that they do with the undergrads. From like my interaction with my science friends, look at what you can do in the lab to help undergrad students, like how can your previous experience or skills be applied in that like lab work when it comes to like teaching undergrads and stuff, and also talk about that because they are going to ask you anyways. And the other thing is they are going to ask you about challenges, because PhD is really stressful. It's hard. You are going to face challenges. So they'll ask you how you can like solve those challenges, right? And they'll even ask you what are some of the challenges that you think can affect you as a PhD student during the program. I think one of the things I mentioned was the fact that I'm an international student, and sometimes missing family can really affect you, and I think most international students can attest to this. So talk about like those challenges. They'll even ask you what challenge have you had before and how were you able to solve it. These are questions that you might not anticipate. Before I would go to the interview, I didn't know they would even ask me like challenges that I've experienced before and how I tackled it. So try to have something at the back of your mind when it comes to challenges that you've experienced before, being it academic or leadership, because your leadership skills also matter. So yeah, those are also like some of the things that you have to keep in mind.
I'm really learning. I'm really
Mind
learning.
and left again, but
Yeah, this is very insightful, Prof. Yeah, so I was even coming to that angle, like so I mean, aside the challenges and everything that you've highlighted, I'm sure when I mean by default, I mean an average prospective PhD student receiving such an offer, I mean I wouldn't say I'm confident per se, but once you know what you're going to say, sometimes it gives you the oomph to be able to
confident. Yeah.
deliver. However, I mean, there will be some kind of fear looking at the number of professors who will be interviewing you. I have a friend who was interviewed for, I think, 5 hours. I mean, not straight, but in a day, she was interviewed 5 solid hours overall. So that was really tough. So, what are some of the key, I mean, I won't say key allies again. I've been using that phrase so what are some of that? I mean, advice that you give people to kind of like overcome their fears when it comes to these things
Yeah.
at the master's level,
Yeah.
any PhD with regards to application process? Like, sorry,
Yeah.
I mean application process in general.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think if you've already received your interview invite, this might not be relevant, but for people who are yet to apply, I think one of the things that really helped me, which I always mention everywhere and even in my videos and everything, that reach out to professors ahead of time. With all the interviews I had, all the professors I spoke to from the various schools were seated at the interval, were
Wow.
seated on the interval
Wow.
panel, right?
Wow.
And all these professors, I had Zoom meetings with them before even applying. So we had like, I knew them. I wouldn't say I knew them on a personal level, but they were nice during like that process before applying. And
Yeah.
I went to the interview and all of them were there and they were really smiling at me. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I got this, like the fact that those professors were there and they were smiling and they'll really give you that vim. I mean, for me, those smiley faces enough were like they were enough like to boost my confidence. So if you are yet to apply and you are watching this video, please make sure you talk to professors. Make sure like you're able to have a Zoom meeting with them before you apply, because they are going to be on the interview panel when the schools are going to interview. The other thing is, again, if you know your thing, the confidence will come. One thing I'm going to say is, for your first interview, it's not going to be the same as like the second and the third and the fourth. You are definitely going to like feel a little bit timid during your first, but also if you are able to answer like the first question they ask you, well, it kind of eases you, and these people are really nice. They are all just going to be smiling at you and be nice and everything. So just know your stuff. I feel like for me, knowing my stuff really made me confident, because I knew my SOP in and out, and it's not like I fabricated things; they were truth. So I could really talk about my stuff. So that really like boosted my confidence. So I think really just know your stuff.
Just know your stuff.
Talk to professors, ahead of time. Even if you didn't talk to them prior to like the application and they send you an interview, maybe you can just like
Review their
their
profile.
profile and stuff and know them like very well so that you can talk about them. I think those things like would really
Help.
and if you don't have an answer to something, say no. Don't lie, because once you start lying, it's also going to affect your confidence. If you lie for the first question and the second question is related to the second one, I mean, before you think about the next lie, you will be demoralized. So if you don't know something, just say. You can use phrases like "I think," right, or you can just say you don't know. But don't lie, because that could also affect your confidence.
Thank you so much, Prof, for passing through. So, guys, I think we would end it here. And that is all for this session and also for this video. And I'm sure if you've learned something, and that is my fellow YouTube, content creator. I mean, within the niche of study abroad. She's also having a channel, and I'm going to allow her to introduce, her channel and also her closing remarks to you all. I mean, to prospective international students, probably you've not received an offer yet. I mean, don't give up. I mean, I know you've been receiving, lab letters rejections. She was fortunate to receive 5 out of 6, but all she
But
went
that
through.
wasn't the case for my master's. So we've all received rejection.
That's true. But in the long run, she went to only one school. So I always say you need just one yes. So if it is a one school that you had, don't. I mean, that is brilliant. So, Prof, I mean, just give us your closing remarks and also your YouTube channel, how they should reach out to you. Then we call it. I mean,
Yeah, sure. So one thing I would say is approach, even if you applied to 8 schools and you got interview invites from 8 schools,
yeah.
approach whichever school, like that's the only school you got
Mm,
interview
mm,
invites for, right?
brilliant,
Like
brilliant.
don't think about options when you are
Mhm,
seated at that interview panel. Approach it like this is the only school I got,
mhm,
like this is my
mhm,
last
mhm,
chance,
mhm,
like this is the only school I have to get. That would help you like tackle the interview very well. Don't think about like other options. There's this point I forgot to add. You should
mhm.
always be prepared to ask them questions because
Wow.
they
Okay.
ask you what questions you have for them about the program. And don't go asking questions that are on the website because that would just show that you don't read. And as a PhD student, you should have like the reading skills. So be ready for questions, be ready to ask them questions. You can ask them questions how often their PhD students publish. You can ask about their placements on the job market. Those are
Mm,
stuff that sometimes they don't put on the
mm.
website. So go with your questions prepared for them. Yeah, my YouTube channel is called Grad School Cafe.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kingsford would write it there,
Yeah.
but yeah, the name is
Yeah.
Grad School Cafe, and so you can check out my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to my channel,
Yeah.
and you can watch some of my old videos. In some of my old videos, I spoke about all those stuff. If you've received love letters, as Kingsford mentioned, that's not the end of the world.
Mhm,
Sometimes you need to try like twice before you get it.
mhm,
For my master's application, I got on my second attempt, and even with that,
mm,
I
mm.
got just one school. Though I applied to 8.
Wow.
Yes, I
Wow.
applied to like 8 schools, and I got
Wow.
into like
Wow.
yeah. So
Wow.
just relax and learn from your mistakes,
Wow.
and then try again. If you receive just one admission without funding and that's the only school you apply to, before you reject the admission because you didn't get funding, please try all other options for scholarships before you reject it.
Mhm,
And also, worst case scenario, just defer. Don't
mhm,
reject the school. Like
mhm.
just defer it. Like maybe Kingsford and I would do a video on like
Yeah.
those who got admission without funding. But yeah, for now,
Yeah.
check out my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's Grad School Cafe. Thank you, Kingsford, for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
featuring me on your channel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've also learned a lot. I mean, I think you shared, sincerely, you shared a very comprehensive and personalized, perspective regards to how this thing works. So, I'll drop, her link in the description box. Follow her on LinkedIn. She's a massive influencer on LinkedIn as well. Follow her on YouTube as well. She's doing, amazing work. Coming with a different perspective. Look at the story. Very, very inspiring. I'm really inspired. Look at how far she has come. So you can also do it. So just want to encourage you that scholarship is not lottery. Tada, energy, 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 energy.